people? LP2000 right back at you with another video. Yes. Welcome back to another edition of Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews on behalf of Collect All Monsters. And yeah, I got a good one for y'all today. Oh my God, we have waited and waited for so long for this guy to finally be released. It goes without saying, basically, ladies and gentlemen, that this has been a long road to get to this guy. You know what I'm saying?
It's a long road when you're on your own.
But you know what? As the age-old saying always goes, and it's never been more true, that good things come to those who wait. And my God, we have waited and waited and waited for so long for this guy to be here, but he is finally here. So you already clicked the title, you know exactly what and who we're covering here. So let's dive head first into this awesome X Plus Favorite Sculptors Line figure review. And today we take a look at the X Plus 30cm Favorite Sculptors Line of the 1974 Godzilla Standard Edition. Yes, based off his super cool appearance in one of my most favorite Godzilla films of all time, and quite arguably one of the best Godzilla films of all time, 1974's Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. And as you can see, I have the beautiful figure in all his glory. Oh God, yes, the superhero Goji in all his glory, the 74 Goji, if you will. Stunning. Just an amazing piece. Oh man, as you can see, I'm looking at it right now and I can't stop staring at it because I'm still like in disbelief that it's finally here after all this time. But I get into the long backstory momentarily, but you know, I do things around here, so let's get up close and personal with the packaging before we go into the figure of Godzilla himself. Here's a picture of the box. Great artwork on the box with the picture of the figure, you know what I'm saying? His name in Japanese text, Godzilla 1974. Of course, the logo at the bottom of the box, you know what I'm saying? Just great artwork on the box. And of course, in the upper left-hand corner, you have Monster Maker 28, because this was taken from Monster Maker 28 sculpt. I'll touch on that momentarily. So the box is really cool. And I also love the fact that this box is basically a carbon copy of the X Plus Favorite Sculptors Line 1974 Mechagodzilla figure that was released earlier this year. And I think it goes without saying that Mechagodzilla had a lot to do with why we got this guy in our collections right now. But again, I'll touch on that momentarily. So again, that's a picture of the box. Great artwork on the box. But again, it's not about the box, it's about the figure. Once again, this is the X Plus 30cm Favorite Sculptors Line Standard Edition of the 1974 Godzilla. Right off the bat, I went with standard on this guy because, again, the rig option for this figure came with the light-up option. You know what I'm saying? But again, I'm at the point where, again, light-ups, even though I'm cool with them, it has to be something that has to really wow me. To want to spend the extra money, to be honest with you. And the light up, again, didn't really wow me enough. But if you got the writ, then good for you. But for me, standard was good enough. You know what I'm saying? As long as I got the figure, that's the only thing I was really more focused with. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I got the standard. Now, here is the long backstory with how we finally got this guy in our collection. So you might want to sit back, relax, get you a snack, get you a drink, because, you know, take this ride with me. It's kind of a long one, like I said. Now, again, this is taken from the Monster Maker 28 resin model kit of the 1974 Godzilla. Now, you already know, personally, I am a huge fan of Monster Maker 28. Again, Monster Maker 28 is one of my most favorite kaiju collectible sculptors of all time, whether it's resin model kits or vinyl figures or whatever. It is definitely in my top 3 of favorite sculptors of all time when it comes to kaiju collectibles. And when it comes to kaiju collectibles that I have in my collection of Monster Maker 28, either resin model kit sculpts or vinyl figures that X Plus readapted them into vinyl figures. You know, I have a few in my collection, like, let's say, the X Plus 30cm 1968 Godzilla, Gorosaurus, and Anguirus. All 3 of those figures in particular were taken from Monster Maker 28 sculpts, and they are absolutely phenomenal. Or how about the resin model kit that I was able to get, I think, last year of the 30cm Cybot 1984, which I hope X Plus will develop into the Favorite Sculptors Line sometime next year in time of the film's 40th anniversary, you know what I'm saying? But that is one of the best kits of all time, especially in terms of the side by 84. Again, taken from Monster Maker 28. Well, how about the entire 25 centimeter lineup, monster lineup, if you will, of GMK with Godzilla, Baragon, Mothra, and Ghidorah? It's interesting because Godzilla, Baragon, and Mothra, they're all a part of the Favorite Sculptors line, right? But Ghidorah isn't, even though you might be surprised to know that. But Ghidorah came out, I want to say, a few years before the Favorite Sculptors line was even a thing. So that's why technically Ghidorah is not in the Favorite Sculptors line along with Baragon, Mothra, and Godzilla. But he should be, in my opinion. But again, all those monsters or figures were taken from Monster Maker 28 sculpts, you know what I'm saying? And of course, the Favorite Sculptors line, Mechagodzilla, you know what I'm saying, that came out earlier this year. Again, that was taken from the Monster Maker 28 sculpt. And again, Mechagodzilla had a lot to do with why we got this guy. But again, I'm a huge fan of Monster Maker 28, and I hope they go back to Monster Maker 28, as plus I'm talking about, because again, their work is absolutely stellar, in my opinion. Now, this figure, again, taken from the Monster Maker 28 sculpt of the resin model kit of the 1974 Godzilla. And actually, you know what? I actually got that resin model kit of the 74 Godzilla, as a matter of fact. I got it at my first G-Fest back in 2015. I got it in the dealer's room. And actually, the resin model kit came out a year earlier in 2014. So basically, this sculpt is going on 9 years old at this point. You know what I'm saying? And you're probably wondering, if you got the resin model kit, why did you go for the vinyl figure? Well, because again, I'm a huge fan of the 70s Godzilla, and the 74 Godzilla, without question, is my favorite 70s version of Godzilla, right? It's my favorite incarnation of the Mechagodzilla suit. Mechagodzilla 74 as a movie is one of my most favorite of all time, so I had to really double dip. I know some people don't really like when people double dip, you know, whatever, but at the same time, I think when the situation calls for it, especially if you're a huge fan of a particular monster, there's nothing wrong with double dipping. But trust me, if there was a law against double dipping, then they would have thrown me under the jail and buried me under it many times over, because I've always felt that double dipping, if the circumstances are right, there's nothing really wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, you know what I mean? Again, those are the reasons why I had to get not only the resin model kit, but now this vinyl reinterpretation of the 74 Godzilla. And ever since I got that resin model kit, you know what I'm saying, I've always said that X Plus really should take this sculpt or take this kit and readapt it somehow. Again, they done it with, you know, the 68 Godzilla and Anguirus and Gorosaurus and GMK monster lineup, as I mentioned earlier. So I don't understand why they really didn't want to do this sculpt at that particular time, you know what I'm saying? And this is something that a lot of fans have been asking and begging and advocating for X Plus to do, you know what I'm saying? I know I suggested it on the X Plus Collectors Facebook group many times over, a million times over. And I was kind of like losing out hope if they would actually do this, you know what I'm saying? But a couple things actually kind of like lifted me out of me being kind of like down and depressed that they would never do this sculpt. First and foremost, because again, this is not the first 74 that S Plus has done. The first 74 that S Plus has done was actually the Death of Real. And I remember that when that figure came out, that really bothered a lot of people. Now, there were some people that, at least a lot of people like myself, that actually enjoyed the fact that we got a 74 Death of Real. Because again, me being a huge fan of the design, and I actually enjoy the Death of Reals, it was no brainer for me to get that figure. But there were a lot of people that were really upset that, again, after asking for X Plus to do a 74, out of all the lines they chose to debut the 74 in, not the 25, not the 30, not even the Gigantics. They chose to do it in the Death of Real line. Because again, there are a lot of people that don't really get the appeal of the Death of Real. They don't like Death of Real. They find them to be just a wasted line that X Plus should not be messing with, quite frankly. So they were upset that they would do a 74 in the Death of Real line. I have to be honest with you, I was laughing at a lot of those people. Because they were really upset. I'm like, really, it's not really a big deal. Because I try to look at things from a glass half full perspective versus the glass half empty perspective. Because I knew that X Plus was not going to do just a Death of Real 74, or at least do the 74 in the Death of Real line and just be done with the 74 altogether. If anything, the Death of Real 74 was confirmation at some point we would get another 74 in another line. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of folks didn't see it that way. But I was like, look, X Plus is not going to troll us because, again, they know what we want. They know that what we're asking for. They know what we are after. And I don't see them doing the ultimate troll move and say, you know what? We're going to give them just a Death of Real 74 and be done with the 74 altogether. Again, that will piss off a lot of fans. So I knew right then that in a way the Death of Real 74 was a confirmation of sorts that we would get another 74 Godzilla in another scale in some way, shape, or form. Okay? Now, fast forward to, I want to say, Summer Wonderfest in 2022. And of course, that was the first time that we saw unpainted prototype pictures of the X Plus Favorite Sculptors Line 74 Mechagodzilla. And again, at least that figure was taken from a Monster Maker 28 kit, you know what I'm saying? And that was released earlier this year, I want to say in January. And that was another confirmation that, again, the 74 Godzilla from Monster Maker 28 was definitely coming. I didn't see X Plus doing Mechagodzilla and not doing Godzilla. So again, that was another strong confirmation that the 74 was coming. Fast forward to a couple months this year of April of 2023 at the Super Festival show, and we finally got the confirmation that we've been asking for and that we needed. X Plus finally announced at that show, because they showed off unpainted prototype pictures. They were finally doing the S Plus Favorite Sculptors Line 30cm 74. Again, they were finally getting their hands on the MM28 sculpt, and they were putting it in the Favorite Sculptors Line alongside Mechagodzilla, and that made so many people happy. I cannot begin to even tell you how a lot of people were happy that finally the 74 was coming. And it came up for pre-order in July of this year, and it's just getting to collectors' hands late October going into November, just in time for Godzilla Day. So again, this is such a great piece. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I do have the original resin model kit of the 74 Godzilla, courtesy of Monster Maker 28. And I actually did a review for that resin model kit. It's like in the archives of my channel. I did it several years ago. So I'm not going to rehash a lot of things I said in that video. Because when you put the resin model kit up against the 74, at least the vinyl 74 here from X Plus, there's not much of a difference. There's not really any difference, quite frankly. Now, if you look at the resin model kit that I have and this figure right here, the only difference that you see is that on my resin model kit, the mouth is open. Now, originally the kit came with the closed mouth, right? But I had Mark St. Game build and paint the kit for me, and I wanted him to actually just open the jaws just a little bit to have him like in a roaring pose, you know what I'm saying? But technically the kit was basically made for him to have not a completely closed mouth, but closed enough where you can see just a little bit of his teeth in the upper and lower jaws. But again, I had that modified courtesy of Mark St. Game. But as you can see between the two here, again, sculpt-wise, is basically the same, except just the open and closure of the lower jaws on both. And I'm glad that, you know what, when you see both of them together, actually the X Plus vinyl reinterpretation actually looks about the same size as the original model kit. Because that's the thing that a lot of fans, when it comes to X Plus, sometimes they complain about that whenever X Plus readapts a resin model kit into a vinyl figure, sometimes that process actually makes the vinyl figure have some shrinkage, so he comes across a little bit smaller than the original model kit. But as you can see here, they're virtually the same size, so I enjoyed that in this process. Godzilla did not diminish in terms of his scale, you know what I'm saying? But as you can see here, they look great together, you know what I'm saying? Again, not much of a difference, but again, you know, I'm just showing you this so you know that it's basically the same sculpt. Now let's focus on the vinyl figure from X Plus here. Again, this is absolutely great, you know what I'm saying? The toenails look great, sculpted really well. The thighs are sculpted really well. His abdomen, his arms, his claws, the tail, you know what I'm saying, looks really good. Oh my God, the dorsal plates look gorgeous. Oh my God, they look so gorgeous. Exactly like the 74's dorsal plates which were basically like the dorsal plates of the 68 and the 71 and the 73, whatever. It was just doing musical chairs where they put, a different plate in a different spot. But again, virtually this is the same suit from the previous film of Godzilla vs. Megalon, the Mechagodzilla. And the dorsal plates, they look absolutely great. Sculpted really well, painted really well. Oh my God, this is great. Of course, going towards the face, you know what I'm saying? And again, with it being in closed mouth, it really, really is cool. That's another reason why I wanted to get this figure, aside from the fact that I love the design so much. But kind of like the 64, where, he has like one look when his mouth is closed. He has a completely different look when his mouth is open. When it's open, excuse me. But you can kind of argue which one makes him look more menacing. Like the 64. Again, there are times where when his mouth is open and you see the teeth, he looks menacing that way. But then when you have him with his mouth closed, in a way, sometimes he come across more menacing with his mouth is closed. The 74, it really is no different. So I love how the face is sculpted, the jaws are sculpted. The eyes, oh my God, the eyes are so perfect. Again, this was taken from the previous suit. This is a modified version of the 73 suit that had that puppy dog look in terms of the eyes, and he had that playful look, whatever. But it's that subtle change in terms of the eyes when he goes from being playful to being really, really super serious, which actually plays into why this suit actually worked better being the disguised Mechagodzilla versus the 73. And I'll touch more about that towards the tail end of the video. But the eyes look absolutely great. Just, again, those serious eyes with the brow. He looks really, really mean or determined or whatever the case may be. So the overall sculpt of the face looks really, really good in the eyes and all that good stuff. Paint job-wise, I love how this Godzilla had more of a blackish color, where you can argue that the 71 and 72, it was dark, don't get me wrong, dark charcoal gray, but it seems like the 73 as well as the 74 here, more so the 74, had more of a blackish color, more of a Heisei blackish color in terms of his skin. And I love how it's replicated here on Godzilla, basically throughout the entirety of his body, aside of the dorsal plates, his claws, his eyes, and his toenails. But from top to bottom, sculpt-wise is perfect, again, like the model kit. Paint job wise is perfect. Oh my God, it's so great. You're probably wondering between the two, which one I like more. That's kind of tough, but I have to say, I think I like the X Plus more because of the darker shade on Godzilla's skin. Don't get me wrong, I love what Mark Sanyang did with my original kit, but I do love the darker tone on the X Plus version. So if you if you ask me point blank and you pin me in the corner and you ask me which one I like more, I would have to say it would have to be the X Plus version, with nothing against the original Resin model kit. From top to bottom, this is absolutely great. Again, I've already covered this in my Resin model kit review of the original kit, so I don't want to rehash again the same things I said in that video. Basically, the moral of this review is that you should get this guy. If you're a fan of the 74 Godzilla, if you're a fan of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, you should add this guy to your collection. There's no question about that. Now, at the time of this recording, I checked on Hobby Research the other day, and I think that this guy is completely sold out. So if you missed out on a pre-order, he's going to be kind of hard to find, you know what I'm saying? Especially now when they're starting to drop in people's hands. But it's not impossible. So you may find one floating out there, an extra floating out there or whatever on Buyee or eBay, or maybe go to Awesome Collect or whatever. But if you want one, if you missed out on one, the time is now to get one, because again, once he's gone, or once he pops up, in the aftermarket, he's going to be horribly overpriced. Not trying to say that he's worth it, but you'll spend more than what you have to. So if you want one, the time is now to try and get one. And this thing is absolutely phenomenal. And it makes me wonder, when it comes to the figure of the year, will it win the overall figure of the year? Because I think the Monsters with Attitude crew is going to cover that either late this year or early next year. I know a strong case can be made for the Favorite Sculptors Line Destroyer, but I don't know. Between him and Mechagodzilla and Destroyer, I think those are the top three that will probably be in the running for figure of the year. As a matter of fact, won't you let me know in the comment section, who do you think will win between those three? The Favorite Sculptors Line 74 Godzilla, the Favorite Sculptors Line 74 Mechagodzilla, or the Favorite Sculptors Line gigantic size Destroyer? You know what I'm saying? But it's going to be interesting to see who will overall be the figure of the year. But at the same time, if this guy does win, It wouldn't surprise me because, again, this guy is amazing. There's no embellishments on the figure or anything stretched out or whatever. It is great. It is awesome. It is absolutely perfect in my opinion. It was well worth the wait. Again, this thing came out, at least the Resin model kit came out in 2014. Here it is almost 10 years later, and S Plus has finally given it to us, and they did not disappoint. Again, this guy was so well worth the wait, and I'm glad that we finally got it in our collections. All right, so that's it with the packaging, the backstory, the ins and out of the figure, the vinyl figure from S Plus compared to the original Resin model kit. It is stunning. It is perfect. Get it. You will not be disappointed. Now, let's do a couple size comparisons. I'm not going to drown the figure review in size comparisons. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, I'm going to pair this guy up against the Favorite Sculptors Line Mechagodzilla. That would be in the second size comparison. But in this first size comparison, again, since this suit was a variation of the suit used in the previous film, let's see how this guy looks up against characters from that film in the first size comparison. Oh yeah, we're going to have fun with this first size comparison. So let's do that, ladies and gentlemen, right now. This is so awesome. Oh God, this is so great. This is the first time I actually put this guy up against these other characters. Again, since this is the 74 Godzilla, again, courtesy from X Plus and the Favorite Sculptors Line. And of course, this is a modified version of the 73 Godzilla. It's only natural that I put this guy up against characters from the 73 movie. And of course, from left to right, we have the 30 centimeter X Plus figure of the year in the standard edition of Megalon. Up against him is the 30 centimeter resin model kit of the Monster Maker 28 Gigan. So he had that in common with Godzilla. And of course, to the far right, we had the 30 centimeter Jet Jaguar. Now, again, I know this is not the same Godzilla from Megalon, but it's still, still is close enough, or whatever. Because at the time of this recording, they have not done a 30 centimeter 73 Godzilla. And that's one thing that was baffling me this year. Because, again, Megalon celebrates 50 years this year. So I was under the impression that X Plus would have done at least a 30 centimeter 73 Gigan, or at least a 30 centimeter 73 Godzilla, but instead they chose to do the Mechagodzilla 74 and the 74 Godzilla here, even though that film technically doesn't celebrate its anniversary until next year. So maybe they're trying to gear up for that. I don't know. But I thought for sure that they would have done something involving doing the other two monsters from Megalon in the 30 centimeter scale. Okay, as you can see, they already done Megalon, they already done Jet Jaguar. But as you can see here, the 74 Godzilla, he actually pairs well with all three of them. So you kind of can use the 74 here as a stand-in. Again, I know he's designed more so for Mechagodzilla. But again, I love creating alternate setups, you know what I'm saying? Especially in terms of monsters that I really, really love. And as you can see here, this 74 Godzilla looks so similar, drastically similar to the 73. So I think you can actually get away putting this Godzilla in this setup. And when you have Godzilla up against Jet Jaguar by himself, they look great together, as a tag team together. Or up against Gigan by himself, you know what I'm saying? That battle was really, really cool in Megalon. Or when you got, Godzilla up against Megalon himself, you know what I'm saying? Like, the possibilities of these setups is great in terms of the 74 Godzilla. And even though technically it wasn't the same suit, but it's close enough where I think that you can get away with this setup. You know what I'm saying? So that's it with the first size comparison between Godzilla, Jet Jaguar, Gigan, and Megalon. Again, you can't tell me that this shot does not look cool between the four monsters from the 1973 film. Yes, this is so great. So that's it with the first size comparison. So now let's go to the final size comparison. And yes, let's bring up the monster that he fought in 1974's Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla with the X Plus Favorite Sculptors Line 30 centimeter standard edition of the awesome mechanical marvel that made Godzilla bleed to death in 1974. The awesome Mechagodzilla in the final size comparison. So let's do that, ladies and gentlemen, right now. Okay, folks, here we are with the final size comparison, the most appropriate size comparison, and yes, alongside the X Plus Favorite Sculptors Line 30 centimeter 1974 Godzilla, I have his main enemy from 1974's Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla with the X Plus 30 centimeter Favorite Sculptors Line standard edition of the awesome mechanical marvel Mechagodzilla. And as you can see here, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. both of these monsters are in 30 centimeter scale. Both of these monsters were taken from Monster Maker 28 sculpts, and both of these monsters have been readapted into awesome vinyl figures. And this is this is so great. As you can see here, Mechagodzilla is somewhat slightly taller than Godzilla himself, which is exactly how it was in the film. Not too tall like Titanosaurus tall in comparison to Godzilla, but this is actually, you know, size-wise, this is actually perfect. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, this is so great. And the thing about these two, like, they're very photogenic. Individually, they're very photogenic. But when you put them together, man, this is, oh my God. Just seeing them just, again, makes me want to watch the movie. You know what I'm saying? That's a testament to how awesome these figures are. You know what I'm saying? Especially when they come from model kits that we thought X Plus would never do. Because again, I almost lost out hope that X Plus would actually do the 74 Godzilla. But again, with the Death of Real 74 Godzilla, with the Favorite Sculptors Line Mechagodzilla, again, those were confirmations that they would do a 74 Godzilla at some point. And basically, dreams come true. This is, again, this has been a long time coming. I cannot begin to express that. A lot of people have been waiting for this. They've been asking for this. They've been advocating for this. But you know what? It's finally here. After all those years of asking and requesting, they heard us and they delivered in more ways than one. So again, seeing Godzilla up against Mechagodzilla, again, this is so cool. You know what I'm saying? So whether you have Godzilla up against Mechagodzilla, or if you got, you know, the monsters from the previous film, you know what I'm saying? Even though, again, technically it wasn't the right Godzilla from that film, but again, the 74 is close enough to the 73 where I think you can pull it off, you know what I'm saying? But either way, this figure is so amazing, and if you lost out on getting one or pre-ordering one, again, the time is now to try and grab one now before he becomes horribly overpriced or just scarce and you can't find them anywhere. But again, one of the breakout releases from X Plus this year, there's no question about that. So that's it with all the size comparisons. So let's go to the final commentary portion of the video with my final thoughts of the X Plus 30cm Favorite Sculptors Line 1974 Godzilla from his epic appearance from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. So let's do that, ladies and gentlemen, right now. Okay, folks, I'm back with my final thoughts of the X Plus 30cm Favorite Sculptors Line Standard Edition of the 1974 Godzilla from his epic appearance from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. 10 out of 10. This thing is great. It is amazing. It is awesome. It is all that and a bag of chips and then some, you know what I'm saying? And he was well worth the wait. Sculpt-wise is perfect. Paint job-wise is perfect. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I do gravitate more towards this one than the original Resin model kit. Again, no disrespect to the original Resin model kit, but I tend to like this one more because, again, of the darker shade on Godzilla's skin. You know what I'm saying? But either way, both of them are awesome. But I kind of like this one a little bit more. And they did a great job. They didn't stray away anything from the sculpt. It looks exactly like the original Resin model kit sculpt-wise. You know what I'm saying? It is really amazing. And you know what? I'm kind of torn to which Favorite Sculptors Line release between this one and Mechagodzilla, because I didn't get the Destroyer. But which one is better? Is it Godzilla or Mechagodzilla? Why don't you pipe down in the comment section, let me know which one do you think is the better Favorite Sculptors Line release between Mechagodzilla 74 and Godzilla 74, you know what I'm saying? Take the story out the equation, you know, whatever. But between Godzilla and Mechagodzilla, which one do you think was the better Favorite Sculptors Line release from X Plus this year, 2023? And let me know. Again, I'm torn. Like, don't ask me that question because I don't know which one is better because they both are awesome. They both were taken from Monster Maker 28 sculpts, and I love them both equally. So I don't really know which one is better. So I'm going to I'll let y'all handle that in the comment section, you know what I'm saying? But again, this thing is great, aside from the fact that he's great on his own. But again, as you saw in the size comparisons, you have some options on your hands if you're going to create setups on your shelves using this figure. Again, you can use it with Megalon, you can use it with Jet Jaguar, you can use it with a 30cm Gigan. Now, if you already have the Monster Maker 28 Gigan kit, again, he is perfect scale-wise with that Gigan, even though, again, technically it's not the right Godzilla, but again, he's close enough where you can get away with it, you know what I'm saying? Or if you got the 30cm 1968 Anguirus, he looks great up against this Godzilla and recreate that moment where Anguirus fights to disguise Mechagodzilla, you know what I'm saying? You know, those two look well together. Or if you got the The awesome kit from Burley Vang, the 30 centimeter Imposter Godzilla 1974. I know a few of us out there do have that kit, but even that kit looks great up against this guy right here. You know what I'm saying? So between the Imposter Godzilla, Megalon, Jet Jaguar, Gigan, Anguirus, you got some great options on your hands if you want to create setups on your shelves using the Favorite Sculptors Line 74 Godzilla. It is amazing. It is awesome. And if you missed out on one, again, the time is now to try and grab one. Because again, once he's gone, he's going to be gone. Or if you do find one, he's going to be horribly overpriced. But again, one of the best releases so far this year when it comes to X Plus. Again, I think it's going to come down to him, Mechagodzilla, and Destroyer on who will be the overall figure of the year, courtesy of X Plus. But again, Monster Blade Attitude will cover that going towards the tail end of the year or early next year. But I won't be surprised if this guy does win, because he is that awesome, in my opinion. Now, before we get up out of here, let's talk about the 1974 Godzilla in the film of 1974's Godzilla's Mechagodzilla. And again, I love this film. This is one of the films that I grew up watching. And it's a film that I love since the first day I watched it. And now that I'm an adult, I still love it, if not more so. And a lot of that has to do with the fact of this Godzilla design. Because again, I so love the design. Again, it's my favorite from the 70s. It's my favorite incarnation of the Mechagodzilla suit. If I had to rank them in terms from my most favorite to my least favorite, of course, 74 would be number 1, 75 would be number 2, and 73 would be number 3, ironically, you know what I'm saying? I love them all, don't get me wrong, but out of all of them, I've always loved and gravitated towards the 74, you know what I'm saying? Because he doesn't have that goofy look from Megalon. He doesn't have that mean, scowl-looking look from 75, even though I love it. It's like the in-between, and it's perfect, you know what I'm saying? Where he's really serious, you know what I'm saying? But he does come across a little playful, where kids can still get behind him. You know, he wasn't evil-looking like in 64, you know what I'm saying? So they were able to reach that happy medium in terms of how this Godzilla looked, you know what I'm saying? And I've always been fascinated about this film, especially learning the backstory about this film. Because around this time in 1974, after Megalon didn't do so well in the box office, and they were looming on the 20th anniversary of the franchise of the original Godzilla film back in 1954, a couple of ideas were kicked around about how to do the next Godzilla film after Megalon. You know what I'm saying? Because again, the film didn't do that well, so they were trying to do something epic involving Godzilla's 20th anniversary or 20th birthday. You know what I mean? And one of the ideas kicked around was that, you know, they wanted to have Godzilla fight some type of mechanical creature or mechanical monster, you know what I'm saying? Because Godzilla in a lot of ways was kind of like Superman, where it's kind of hard to create interesting characters, at least power enough characters that can seem credible enough to challenge him. You know what I'm saying? They did a good job with the 3 films prior with Hedra, Gigan, and Megalon, and Ghidorah to a certain extent. But that was, again, like Superman. Godzilla is this all-powerful being that pretty much every time we see him fight, he normally wins. So it's kind of hard to come up with interesting characters that can prove to be a credible challenge towards Godzilla. And again, around that time, they were running on fumes in terms of ideas, creative ideas. And again, one of the ideas was they wanted Godzilla to fight a mechanical creature or mechanical monster. The other idea was that they wanted somehow, again, since it was the 20th anniversary of the original 54 film, they wanted a way to bring back the old, evil, fearsome Godzilla from the earlier films, but yet not upset the kids that have grown attached to the superhero Godzilla that was active during that time. So how do you bring all those ideas together? Hence, ultimately, we got the creation of Mechagodzilla. And when we do see Mechagodzilla in the film, he is disguised as the real Godzilla. Even though when you first see Godzilla in the film, you can tell, because it's not like they went out of their way to try and hide the fact that it wasn't a real Godzilla, but look-wise, it looked exactly like Godzilla, but still something was off. You know what I'm saying? The way he moved, the way he sounded, the way he roared, it just didn't come across as the genuine article. Then later on, when Anguirus fights Godzilla, which is something that, again, the Showa series wasn't really good at in terms of continuity or establishing continuity, at least they gave some great continuity there where some of the human characters are questioning why would Anguirus attack Godzilla, since at this point they were allies. They were known to be allies. So there was another giveaway that, again, this wasn't the real Godzilla. And then when the real Godzilla finally shows up, again, that is such an epic moment. To this day, that is my favorite moment from the Showa period. Like if you were to ask me what is my favorite one-time moment, all-time moment from the Showa period, and that would be that moment of seeing the real Godzilla and the imposter Godzilla before Mechagodzilla reveals himself. That's my all-time favorite moment. And you know what? That really is a cool moment, because especially since in the Showa period, there were lots of great moments that a lot of people would consider their favorite or the number one. Like Godzilla's first appearance over the hill in Odo Island in 1954, him fighting King Kong in 1962, him fighting Ghidorah alongside Rodan and Mothra in 1964, him going to Planet X, the final battle and destroy all monsters, you know what I'm saying? There are so many great moments that a lot of people would determine as their favorite, but for me, my all-time favorite Showa moment is seeing the real Godzilla and the imposter Godzilla beat the crap out of each other, you know what I'm saying? Now, going back to the eyes of this Godzilla here, I think it actually worked better that they changed the eyes on this suit, especially for this film, and especially for the role of the disguised Mechagodzilla, you know what I'm saying? Because again, as much as I love the 73, I don't think it would have worked if they would have used the 73 to portray the disguised Mechagodzilla, you know what I'm saying, with that version of Godzilla being more brutal and he was attacking humanity. It's kind of hard to take the 73 seriously in him being a killer or a threat. So again, I love how again they changed the eyes. It was a subtle change, but that subtle change made all the difference in the world, where you were able to buy into the fact that maybe Godzilla did turn evil again. Maybe he did turn his back on humanity. And it was really cool to see that. It was really cool to see the superhero look of Godzilla actually do some damage to the world, you know what I'm saying? Brutally attacking Anguirus and basically crippling him and, you know, sending him off on his way, or him attacking the oil refinery, and it gave off shades of the original Godzilla from 1954, going back to the idea that I talked about that was kicked around during the pre-production of this film, how they want to bring back the old, evil, fearsome Godzilla without upsetting the fans of the savior superhero Godzilla, you know what I'm saying? But that's an all-time great moment, you know what I mean? But the one criticism I will have about this Godzilla is that when he's portrayed as the real Godzilla, not the disguised Mechagodzilla, he doesn't display a lot of fighting moves or great fighting moves like he did in the other four films of the 70s. Because in the other four films in the 70s, Godzilla was punching, kicking, body slamming, just giving off all these fancy fighting moves. But you don't really get that a lot in this film. Because Mechagodzilla's, and that's something that I observed back then and what I observe now, that to me, Mechagodzilla's best advantage is for him to attack you from afar. That's the thing. He's able to be at his most dangerous when he's able to deploy his weapons upon you when you're away from him. But if you're able to get in close combat with him, or at least in close quarter combat with him, he can't really defend himself. So a lot of times in the fight scenes between Godzilla and Mechagodzilla, Mechagodzilla uses the strategy of keeping Godzilla away from him so he can deploy as many weapons as he could to weaken and kill the monster. But again, even though I wish we would have seen this Godzilla do a lot more fighting moves, this Godzilla shows how tough he is. Because again, Mechagodzilla was the first opponent that made Godzilla leave Japan and go back to Monster Island to regroup. Hedorah, Gigan, Megalon, Godzilla did not leave Japan until the fighting was done. He did not leave until the job was done. But when he first came across Mechagodzilla, Mechagodzilla was the first opponent that made Godzilla say, you know what, I might need to regroup. I might need to rethink this thing, where he had no choice but to go back to Monster Island and figure out a way to how to stop Mechagodzilla. You know what I'm saying? But in that final battle, especially when he shows up after Mechagodzilla is about to kill King Caesar, and Godzilla pops up on both of them, and Godzilla, that iconic shot that basically was the first shot of this video, where you see Godzilla's face, a close-up of his face, going over the hill, and he has that serious, determined look. Again, go back to the serious look of the eyes on the suit. That's a little change I'm talking about. And the look of Godzilla in that fight scene really just says, you know what? I'm coming after you, dude. And it's not over until I take you down. You took me down, so now it's time for me to return the favor. And Godzilla shows his toughness by basically taking everything Mechagodzilla could throw at him. His eye beams, his chest beam, his finger missiles, his toe missiles, and everything that Mechagodzilla threw at Godzilla. But Godzilla kept coming and coming and coming, and he would not stop until he took down Mechagodzilla. And you know what? That's exactly what he did. So that's why I kind of forgive this Godzilla not having the fancy fighting moves of the other 70s Godzilla films, because it shows his toughness, and it shows when Godzilla is determined on a goal, he will accomplish that goal no matter what. So those reasons and other reasons why I so love this movie, I so love this design, and seeing this figure just brings all those memories back to me about why I love 1974's Godzilla's Mechagodzilla, you know what I'm saying? And again, that's a testament to how awesome X Plus is from finally making this figure available to us, you know what I'm saying? But again, watch Godzilla's Mechagodzilla today, you know what I'm saying? Or watch it sometime next week before we get to Godzilla Day. Again, in my opinion, one of the best Godzilla films of all time, and it's arguably the best Godzilla film from the 1970s. Watch it and have fun with it, because that's exactly what the film is. It's absolutely fun, you know what I'm saying? But if you can find this guy for a good price, I highly suggest it. I highly recommend it. You can't get no better than this. Yes, yes, yes. So that pretty much concludes my review of the X Plus 30cm Favorite Sculptors Line Standard Edition of the 1974 Godzilla, from his epic appearance from the awesome 1974 kaiju film, one of my most favorite Godzilla films of all time, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. You have any questions, tell me down in the comment section. Hit me on Facebook via Let's Be Chambers. We'll definitely go from there. Yes, once again, awesome. It is amazing. Oh, God, again, it took a long time to get here.
It's a long road when you're on your own.
But we are finally here after all this time, and again, he was well worth the wait. Paint job wise is perfect, sculpt wise is perfect. X Plus has done a phenomenal job of getting this guy out to us, you know what I'm saying? Especially in the same year that they brought out the Favorite Sculptors Line Mechagodzilla, and those two are basically were made for each other. So the fact we got both of these figures this year is such an awesome thing. And again, I wonder what this guy win figure of the year. Maybe he won't, because again, the Destroyer, that thing is amazing. I'm not gonna lie, that thing is so amazing. So is Mechagodzilla, you know? But he got some stiff competition. But if he does win, again, it wouldn't surprise me, because he is so awesome. And I'm glad I was able to finally get this review out. And you know what? Coincidentally, you know, it's kind of funny that X Plus put this figure out on the same year that, again, I'm going to be closing down regular content on the channel. So that's why it was so important to get this video out, you know, to y'all before the end of the year. Because once the end of the year comes in, it's going to be it with regular content on the channel. But again, a figure that we've been asking for, advocating for, begging, requesting, to finally make it into our hands after all this time. It is such a beautiful thing. Now, we got Godzilla, we got Mechagodzilla. All we need is a King Caesar. We need a 30cm King Caesar. And again, the film celebrates 50 years next year. So I predict that sometime next year we will get, or at least they will announce, a 30cm 1974 King Caesar to put with Godzilla and Mechagodzilla, you know what I'm saying? But only time will tell with that. Because again, next year is going to be bonkers in terms of our fandom. Anniversaries being celebrated. Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. Again, our fandom is on fire right now. So all my fellow Godzilla or Kaiju fans, let's just sit back, relax, shut the hell up, and let's enjoy the ride. Can we do that? I'm sure we can. But in the meantime, if you can find this guy for a good price, I highly recommend it. So ladies and gentlemen, I finally give to you the X Plus 30cm Favorite Sculptors Line Standard Edition of the awesome 1974 Godzilla, from his epic appearance from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Yes, yes, yeah, so thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see y'all again on this figure move review. All right, y'all take it easy.